It is not the questions that you ask on the interview, it's the number of candidates that you interview.
I can see the whole wide world with these two eyes, and I can be whoever I wanna be, 'cause it's my life.
Hi, thanks for joining us for another episode of Ask Spurrell CPA. And today we're talking about interview questions don't make bad candidates good. That might be interview questions don't make bad candidates good. So for that I have, Trevor, my business partner at Inspired Methods. So Trevor, how's it been, moving into the accounting office the last few months? What have you learned here?
Well, it's been an adjustment,
Yeah.
right? Going from working in your home at your desk with all the distractions that are there. It's been a great shift, just getting involved and getting into the groove of, doing things differently. It's been better because we're working on a better schedule now. We have more focused work time, which allows me to get a lot more done, which is great. And then, just being able to interact with you on a day-to-day basis, I'm learning a lot from you and able to really put that into place into my own life. And I can see how our business is going to grow and really start to shine. Right.
Yeah, we're working towards that entrepreneur center, right? Eventually.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the quote that we have here today, Jim Collins' quote, talking about those who build great companies understand that the ultimate throttle on growth for any great company is not markets or technology or products or competition. It is one thing above all others. It's the ability to get and keep enough of the right people. And the stats back this up. That 50% of Canadian small businesses fail, and 23% of failed business owners will say that they failed because they had the wrong team, which is the third top reason that business owners cite for failing. And we're talking about interview questions don't make bad candidates good. And the story that we have is we get business owners, they're struggling to find the right team. And they're just simply overthinking the interview questions. And they think if they somehow ask better questions, that they would find better team members.
Right.
So Trevor, what are the questions you think these business owners need to be asking?
Well, I guess the first thing is, can a well-written job ad eliminate a lot of questions that you need to ask?
100%. So, we can start listing things like where you're going to work, what are the hours that you're going to work, is there any travel or overtime expected, or after-hours appointments, evenings or weekends, what's the rate of pay, if there's any other perks included. Just get them in the ad. There's no reason to tie up the interview time or deal with candidates who are a bad fit. We can put those questions right in a well-written ad, and if it suits them, they're going to apply, and if it doesn't suit them, they're not going to apply. But there's no point delivering that information on a one-to-one basis.
Right. So what's more important, the questions you ask or the number of people that you interview?
Here's the crux. It is not the questions that you ask on the interview. It's the number of candidates that you interview that are going to limit your ability to find the right team members. And I'll use the sports analogy.
Okay.
And let's pretend that you're a scout for an NHL hockey team. And you're talking about what questions I'm going to ask this person after the game that's going to help me find the best player to play on my team. Well, would you be better off asking more questions, or would you better off looking at more games and seeing more players if you want the best players on the team? It doesn't, the way you scout that player does not make them better.
Right. It's
just the fact, did you see the right player who belonged on the team in the first place? That's generally the biggest limiter of growth. It's the same thing in business. We're overanalyzing the questions that we're asking when it's just the wrong fit.
That makes a lot of sense. So the next question is, how many candidates should you aim to interview to fill a position?
So the question that I'm going to, the number that I'm going to throw out there, I don't have, a huge amount of science to back this up, but it's just going to put it in perspective, and it's going to be a good guideline that's going to scare a lot of people, is I would suggest if you want to fill a position in your organization that you need to interview 100 people.
I just saw some HR people's minds just go.
100 people. So if you want to find the best person, don't think about asking 8 people who you see better questions. Think about seeing 100 people instead of 8. That's going to, help you find better people.
Wow. So why do big businesses normally get better talent than small businesses?
Because they have that HR position that you talked about, and their sole job is to look at resumes and bring people in for interviews and correspond with them over and over and over again, where the small business owner just does this when they need someone and they're in a time crunch and they spend as least time on it as possible, and they just see less people.
Right.
It's not about the questions that they're asking. We're not having them, descramble the Rubik's Cube in the interview. It's not about that. They just need to see more people, and the big businesses generally see more people for every candidate that they want to hire than the small businesses, and that's why they get better people.
Okay. So next question is, how can a busy business owner possibly interview 100 people?
So I think the hack, if you want to outpace those big businesses, is you need to do a group interview. You only have so much time to do these interviews, and if you can come to the conclusion, if you can come to your senses on, it's not what I asked them, but it's how many people I see to get the right person. The way to see more people in less time is to see those people in a group interview setting. You can just see so many more people.
Okay. So then how can you avoid asking common interview questions in the group setting?
The hack to doing, there's always those same questions that you're asking. You're asking, what teams have you been a part on? What software have you used? Maybe you're a tradesperson. Have you worked on this sort of commercial build or this sort of industrial build before? There's some questions that you just want to ask every single candidate. Right. Rather than ask them all in a group, is you can just supply these questions before the interview. So before they come in for this interview, you can just email them this list of questions and say, hey, can you bring the answers to these questions written down when you show up to the interview? Because there's probably going to be half dozen questions that you want to ask every time for every position that you fill. Just ask them right away, and they can bring written answers to those questions rather than going through them one by one in a group interview, or even a one-to-one interview. If you don't even agree with the group interviews, why not ask those questions? Bring them in writing. It has the additional benefit of it shows some diligence too. That they followed the instructions, that they actually, this was their first test, not just to show up, but to show up with the list of these 5 questions filled out and written down.
Very good. So I guess the next question is, what is the main question to ask in the group interview?
The main thing that I want to ask people is, why do they want to work here? I don't want to waste my time asking, what software they use. I ask that in the written questions, and it's important to me. If they know how to use a piece of software, that's an asset, right? But I'm more concerned about why they want to work here.
Yeah. What balloon animal are you?
Yeah.
The silly questions that people come up with, right?
Yeah.
To see how people think on their feet. I think a lot of that's just silly, but I really like that question. Why do you want to work here?
That's right.
That's amazing. So what types of answers are you not looking for in the interview?
So the key is, and why do you want to work here? And some people will start saying, well, I want to be an accountant. Okay, well, there's other accounting firms. That doesn't really tell me why I want to work here. Or, I just got laid off from this organization. Same thing. That doesn't see why you want to work here. I just finished my 4-year degree at U of A or Grant MacEwan or NAIT. Well, okay, there's other accounting firms who want people with an undergrad degree, majoring in accounting. Yeah. That's the type of thing. It's not really telling me why they want to work here. That's just a generic why I want to be an accountant or work in an accounting firm or why I want a job to pay the bills.
Yeah.
That's not really the important part.
So then what is the most important answer that you're looking for?
So the important answer is you need to see that this person actually connects with the problem, vision, mission, and values of the organization. There's got to be something about your business that speaks to this particular candidate that goes beyond their career objectives. It goes beyond their monetary objectives from just wanting to collect a paycheck. It goes beyond logistical concerns of this is a closer or location to where I live. And it speaks to something that I'm doing some sort of work that matters. And I believe that this organization has the same opinions and values of me, because those are things that employees will stick to when times are harder. If there's something that connects with them, that means, when they get an offer for $1 more an hour, they're not leaving because they actually want to do the work that they're doing at this location, or, they move houses from one place to another in the city. They're not going to leave just because somewhere else is closer. Because there's something within the business, a specific problem that you're trying to work on. In our business, it's helping Canadian business beat the odds. They are really passionate about helping business owners. That's secondary to other organizations, other accounting firms who, for example, they want to just prepare financial statements and tax returns. There's lots that are going to do that, and I can't guarantee that. I can be the highest paid or the closest to your house or have the best working hours for you. But we're super committed to helping small business owners. And if that's their biggest passion, that's likely a long-term employee. And I'm interested in that.
Yeah. So do you read the resume answers to common questions before the interview?
I absolutely do not read the resumes or the answers to the common questions before the interviews, because I want them to show up. I want to have a good impression with those people. We've all met those people who come into interviews and we know we're not going to hire them. 60 seconds into the interview, never mind even 5 minutes, we know 60 seconds into the interview, this is not the right person. And think of how much time you can waste in reading all of those applicants. Heck, half of the people who apply and submit a resume will never show up to an interview anyways. So why do I want to read those before I know A, they're going to show up, B, I'm going to have a good initial impression of them, and C, they have a really good answer to that question that tells me why I want to work here, which is different than why I want to do the job that you're posting for. So I don't read them. It's just a time hack, And after they come to the interview and they show me those 3 things, now I'm going to read their resume. Do they have the type of skills and experience that I'm looking for? Now it becomes important because they're one of many, and I just spend so much less time reading resumes. I'm only reading resumes for people that have a shot.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So that's what we have here today. Thanks again for tuning in. As always, hit the like and subscribe button so we can continue to deliver you tips on how to beat the odds at business. And please leave your comments and questions below so we can address them in future videos. Thanks very much.